With so much content out there, how do you filter through all the noise and cut straight to the value? What has become very apparent is that the best way to learn is to surround yourself with those you aspire to be. But you can't just watch what they do. At some point you have to turn it into an action. Knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is power. On this podcast, you will go on a journey as we speak to people who are making the difference in their industries, and people who, if you listen to closely and take action, can turn you into who you want to be. My name is Mark Sclaire, and this is the Building a Successful Career podcast. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Mark Sclaire podcast. If you didn't know, this podcast is split into two parts. The first is me documenting my journey, which is failing my way in public to success. And the other part is bringing on people that have the experience, have the expertise that I can learn and develop from. And as I'm asking questions, you can also learn and develop as well. So on the show today, I have a power couple by the name of Ingo and Lisa. And I think me explaining what they do and who they are would do it a complete injustice. So I'm going to leave the floor to them, and I'm just going to introduce them now. Ingo and Lisa, great to see you. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, great to see you.
Thank you so much for having us on the show, Mark.
Brilliant. No, great to have you here. Thank you for joining in.
Okay.
So I'll leave the floor to you to explain.
Okay. Well, we have both very unique talents, I would say, and very unique areas that we support each other in a business that we've now united fronts on to come together and build a business together. So we were originally two very separate entities doing our own thing. And through COVID, what happened was we found a direction that we had to come together. What happened was I was doing individual individual one-on-one coaching. I was running events. I was working with people in face-to-face coaching. And what I'll tell you is that I work with people whose voices are imperative to their success. And I help them to develop their voices to get their message across, to be able to speak with more confidence, to be able to speak in a way that their message is really impactful and they're able to motivate, engage, inspire their audiences every single time that they speak. And what I was doing before was I was working a lot in more individual one-on-one sessions. I was trading time for money. I was at a point where I was very frustrated as well, that I was at this point where, how do I grow my business? How do I scale my business? I already had a digital, an online course ready to go, but I didn't know how to scale it. I didn't know how to market it. I didn't know how to get it out to people. And then we attended an event together. I dragged him along with me. I wanted to go to this event called Cha-Ching here in Dubai, where there were so many amazing motivational speakers that were going to be at this event. And I just thought it would be a great thing to go and be inspired. And Ingo came along with me. And through that, we found some incredible mentors who could help us to understand more about this entrepreneurial world, how to grow and scale a business, and get out of this, I guess, one-on-one online coaching model and build into a new level. And as I said, I already had a course ready to go. So we found one mentor who was able to help us to understand how to get that course ready, packaged up, and market it to the right people. And that's how our journey started. And we started working together, learning, first of all, the whole new world of online marketing. And
yeah, we literally learned everything about digital marketing and fell in love with it. Particularly after I saw what is possible on YouTube, how to present your ads only to people who are either ready to buy or generally interested in what you have to offer. So that's obviously the trick, that you manipulate YouTube in such a way that you only show your advertisements to people who are generally interested in what you have to offer. And prior to doing this, I was working as a logistics consultant. So I spent roughly 25 years in the corporate logistics world before establishing my own logistics consultancy in 2018. But my business has shifted completely into the digital marketing world.
And now we support each other, obviously. So I'm creating the course. Well, together we're creating the courses, we're creating the content, and I'm doing, I guess, a lot more of the front on-camera presence. And Ingo is doing a lot, although he's running webinars as well, and he's doing a lot more of the back tech support, coaching calls, and teaching people how to do the YouTube side of things, get their ads working for them to bring the clients in. So we are complementing each other in what we're doing.
I think that's great because, first of all, even though, Lisa, you've been doing something for a number of years, you still took it upon yourself to want to learn and develop more. So that's why you went to that event and you wanted to speak to people and be inspired by people and be around people that we can learn and develop from. And that's great to have an open mind to do that. And then when we spoke before about you guys working together, and maybe I mentioned that Lisa was helping with Ingo. What I meant by that was, and like you've explained it very well, is that Ingo is behind the scenes in regards to what you're doing, but he's also doing his own thing as well in regards to the webinars. So in regards to like what to say and how to get your voice across and how to say it in the right sort of way, that's where I think you complement each other a lot. And I grew up in a household where my parents worked very much together. You know, my mother was an absolute leader in the house. My dad went out to work, and my mum, she would not only be the housewife, but she'd also run the whole business as well. So I've grown up in an environment where, you know, both people are very strong people, and that's great to see with you guys. So that's why I wanted to bring you on, really, because from meeting you the other week, I felt that, and I thought it'd be really cool for the community to see it. So as I said, thank you for being on the show. So.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, this whole thing was so timely for us as well, because as I said, the minute COVID hit, we were lucky that we attended this event just before then all the doors were closed down, and literally from one day to the next, from a personal one-on-one face-to-face coaching business, I walked out and I closed the door to my office, and I did not barely go back into that office for 3 months, from March to July. And if that was my only source of income and my only way of working with people, I literally lost 90% of my income from one day to the next. I had to find another model. I had to learn something new. And, many people could say, oh my gosh, it's terrible. I've lost everything. It's devastating. I've lost my job. I've lost my income. I've lost everything. But if you take that negative perspective, then you will never see growth. You'll never find a new way. But I see that you can find opportunity in everything that happens. And I think if you find the positive side of things, even though, there's always challenges, but find opportunity, and you will grow, and you will grow bigger.
Yeah, I mean, this is so important. I mean, there was two types of people during this time. There was ones that just sheltered away and wanted the government, really, in most of our countries, to protect them. And then there's the other people who were like, no, I need to make new opportunities, and there is a world out there of something. But in regards to people that had like full-time jobs, they realized all of a sudden that, and are working for a company, I mean, they realized that they weren't protected. You were always taught to, or always brought up to think, you go work at a company, be protected, there'll always be protection there. And a lot of people that didn't happen to. So to go on this entrepreneurial journey where you have control of your outcome is probably more secure. And that's the journey I'm on at the moment as well. So, but it's great you two are doing it together. Like, my girlfriend, we work together, but not in that sort of way yet. So hopefully we can build to that. It's amazing to be able to be together and work with that together.
It's also about understanding the importance of having mentors in your life, mentors and coaches, because I mean, we initially went to Chaching earlier in 2020 with the idea to be inspired by these motivational speakers. We never had the idea of signing up with any of the coaches or mentors who were there. But we did, to the point where we spent a small fortune, and it actually felt a bit uncomfortable considering the amount of money we had spent on coaching. But as Lisa mentioned, luckily we had done this because this allowed us to understand the digital marketing world completely and pivot our business the moment COVID hit. And I think within a matter of less than 6 weeks, we were suddenly able I believe in the month of July, to sell digital courses worth of almost $20,000.
Yeah.
Over a period of 4 to 5 weeks.
Well, I think as well, like, but when you sit with a client now and you're trying to make them understand that it is value, if you've not made that investment, which you actually have made, you might be sat there when they're objecting to the price thinking, oh, it is a little bit expensive, or it is like a little bit too much. But because you've made that investment, and I know the sort of prices as well, like you've gone all in with it. So when those objections do come up, and all of a sudden you're seeing returns on it, you have clear case studies of yourself that you can put across to people, and that's in an ethical way of doing things as well.
Yeah,
that's so true. Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with that. Like as a sales coach, I know that if you don't believe in what you're selling, if you don't believe in what you're offering, when those objections come up, you end up agreeing with the objection, and it never gets you those tough deals.
Well, I will say that has always been one of my areas of weakness, is dealing with the financial side of things and dealing with how much am I worth? What is the value? What number do you put on, or what your service, or what you're worth to somebody, or what the return is, and what you can give to somebody. And I never really used to think of it in those terms. I used to think of it more on an hour of my time, or an hour of my, what I'm giving to somebody. But I didn't ever think of it in terms of what's the value of what I'm going to give them, and how much is that going to help them in their future. Never used to think of it so much in those terms, and now I do. And I've learned this through mentoring through other people.
It's interesting what you think is like an everyday type thing. Like if I do a training lesson, a sales lesson, and I think this is something that people have heard a million times, I'll talk about it with the same passion. But what I think is not much, or just a small part of my training, all of a sudden is this huge value to the people, and they're like, that's the best thing they took from it, even though I thought it was this small little thing. So you never know how valuable it can be to somebody else.
That's so true, Mark. And another thing, we think so often, that we are repeating ourselves, and that people have heard this over and over again, but repetition is so important. And even another thing that people are thinking, oh, I can't share the knowledge which is already perhaps in my courses, or in my trainings, and I shouldn't give that out as free content. But I've also started to learn that there's no problem in giving your information out, even in free content, because the more people start to understand your methodologies, the way you work, get to know you, then they're more going to be enticed to want to work with you further. And once they do get into your courses, they'll say, oh yeah, that makes more sense to me now, because I've already heard that before, and they'll learn faster because it's already resonating with them, because they've heard it perhaps before in some of your other social media texts or content or videos that you've already put out there. So there is no problem in repeating yourself, or even offering things that you consider to be personal to you, that you hold away for the private stuff. It's okay to let stuff out.
What I learned, when I attended the event, I was there to see Les Brown. That's who I was there to see. Like, I didn't know of any of the other people at all. But I knew that I had, before the event, I had this idea of doing a training course. But when I ended up signing up for like the Business Accelerator course, there was one thing which really stuck out to me, and that's really what made me develop this whole business now, was that you need a method, you need principles, you need a structure. And people can go onto YouTube and they can watch millions of videos, but unless it's been done in an order, which is like an A to Z of how to deliver something, or an A to Z of a digital online or a YouTube, whatever, the people don't see the value in it. So all of these videos we put out, and we're all very active in regards to social media. Like, it's great, we're giving value to the community, but people, they need that A to Z. And that's where these training courses come in. And that's as long as we've got that principle, that structure of how we're going to deliver it in the roadmap, then people will invest. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So should we get into this now? Because I am, as a person who speaks every single day, and I've felt exactly what you said there when you were like, all of a sudden the door's closed and you need to get out to people. And if you were doing one-to-one before, or even just live events, all of a sudden the doors are closed, you can't see people, and you need to be able to get across to people in a way where they understand you. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that, Lisa? Like how you can help people with that?
Sure. So now, well, I'm still doing individual coaching, and I offer that now. I am back doing some individual one-to-one coaching. I'm now selective who I'm taking on. I do coaching also through Zoom calls, and then I have my Voice of Success Masterclass program, where people can come through and they can learn through a pre-recorded video course, where it is, as you just mentioned, it's structured learning, where they'll go through phases of getting to know their voice, get to know their voice first as an instrument. So I'm very big that we all have an instrument within, but most people have no idea really how to use it effectively to its full potential, unless you've been trained as a singer, or you've been trained as an actress, or a voiceover artist, let's say. Nobody really ever teaches you how to use your voice to its maximum potential. And what happens also is, as kids are very expressive. They'll go into their full highs and their lows, and then all of a sudden, particularly with guys, the voice breaks, and all of a sudden the voice goes down low, and they forget then how to tap into the ups and the downs, and also cultural aspects of it. They get suppressed, or don't show that emotion, don't express yourself, and the ability then to tap into certain emotions starts to get stripped back. Teachers will say, shh, be quiet, and all this societal stuff starts to push down on you, and you forget how to express yourself. And so what you come across is people who then all of a sudden, I have a monotone voice, I don't know how to show more vocal variety, and when I get up to speak in front of people, I'm really, really boring, and I don't know how anymore to tap into those emotions. So I teach people how to unleash their voices so that they can go high again, and they can go low. And when I've got a serious voice, I can be down here, but when I'm excited, I can be right up here as well, and they can tap back into those emotions. And other things like how to breathe, so that when your breathing not only unleashes that full sound of your voice, but it also will keep your thoughts clear when you're in that moment of stress. It will keep your voice stable and clear when you get that anxiousness, and you think your voice is starting to shake because you're very, very nervous, and you think everything is starting to show. If you can manage all the breathing, that's going to help you and ground you. So this is how I work with people. I dive right into teaching them first how to work with their instrument from the ground up, from the breathing to relaxing their cords to discovering, their resonance. And if people have funny sounds like nasality or edginess in their voice, I'll help them to eliminate those sounds as well, so that they can open their voices up and play with their voices, so they have more potential to tell stories and excite their audiences.
think this
And that's all in.
Brilliant. And I think this comes with repetition, like you were saying at the very beginning. Yeah, this comes with practice, and then when it comes game time, because you've kind of been in that environment of practicing it, so you can go with it. So I know there's some sort of exercises. Should we do a couple now? Maybe I've got a green tea. I've been trying to relax my voice a little bit. So I'm up for it. If you're up for it, I'm up for it.
Okay. Well, one of the best exercises to very, very quickly warm up your voice when you don't have a lot of time, and if you don't mind somebody hearing you, is to do what I call a lip roll. And it's just a really quick way to get the cobwebs off your voice in the morning when you wake up and you're feeling my voice is just a little bit, under the weather, and you just want to clear everything out. So the very first one would be a to
Is that right? Yeah, there you go.
All right, so it's not a very COVID-friendly exercise if you're very close to somebody.
It's all this
true, yeah.
on your business.
Yeah, wear the mask.
Yeah, and tapping into breathing exercises, so understanding, getting people how to really ground their breath. What I really focus on is helping people to get in touch with diaphragmatic breathing instead of focusing on how to get my breath in. So teaching them how to breathe in. What I find is that can confuse people. It takes some time sometimes for people to think I'm breathing in, and people end up breathing very shallow. A lot of people breathe too high and breathe shallow up into the chest. So what I get people to do to tap into it really fast is if you focus on the exhale before you think about the inhale, and just imagine you have an imaginary straw and you're going to blow out through that straw, and you want to go back to your childhood and you're going to blow bubbles in a drink. Okay. So just imagine you're going to blow out. Don't even think about taking a breath in first, and then just blow straight through. And when you do that, just try it. Just imagine you've got a straw and you're going to blow bubbles, but don't even take a breath first. Just blow with what you've got. What do you feel?
Okay. That was a few. So just blow out.
Yeah. Where do you feel? Where does your body engage to get that air out?
From here. From my, sorry, you can't see, from my stomach. From my stomach.
No, we can't see, but your stomach instantly engages. So when you do that, your body will instantly engage and start using your diaphragm. And then after doing that, you just relax and allow the breath to restore itself back. You instantly get into a sense of this is diaphragmatic breathing. And you take away that sense of I have to think of the intake of the air, but you're allowing the body to naturally restore its air back by itself.
Yeah, I guess like when you go like that, it's kind of like a shock, and it can actually kind of have the negative effect, kind of to calming you. I mean, yeah.
So that's a very quick and easy way to tap into how does it feel to breathe and use your core strength to exhale your air. And that's just a very quick. Let's say a basic way, the beginner's area of starting to breathe from your diaphragm.
I'd say what's an interesting question to ask actually is that in my head, when I sing, I'm a great singer. But when I hear it, when I listen to it, if I record it, I'm like, oh, that sounded really good there. And I record it, I'm like, no, that sounds terrible. So why is it good in your head? And then when you listen to it, it's like, no, that's really bad.
Well, we all hear ourselves differently to the way it comes out to other people, because when you're hearing your own voice, it's resonating inside your own head. Yeah. You're not hearing it back out through your ears. So that's why it sounds different. That's why everybody says, why do I sound so different when I hear my own recordings, even if it's your speaking voice? Why do I sound so different and cringe? Because expecting something different, or you're so used to hearing your own voice within your own body, and then when you hear it back through a recording, it's very different sound. So it's a matter of, first of all, getting used to your own voice through recordings. I encourage people to always record themselves over and over again, so that you get used to it, and also that's the best way to hear and practice and improve sounds. And why is it why do you like it? Well, improve it.
Yeah. When I do sales training with people, the best advice I give is listen to your phone call, because what you think you've been saying and speaking about, it becomes a huge reality when you actually listen to it. And it's like, did I say that? I didn't say that. Oh, actually, I was quite good there. Oh, actually, I was really bad. So it's definitely a reality check to listen to yourself, definitely.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
And the more frequent you do it, you automatically improve. Yeah. So in our situation, for instance, we have to record a lot of YouTube videos, advertising videos, for instance, or course material. And at the beginning of the journey, I did not really feel comfortable speaking in front of the camera. It was a really odd feeling. I did not know what to do with my hands. I certainly did not move them naturally. No. But look, after you've done it, I don't know, 10, 20 times, you get used to it and you feel super comfortable in front of the camera. It just becomes natural.
Well, that's what this whole podcast is about for me. You know, this whole podcast, these daily videos, it's failing my way in public to success, because the only way you're going to get better is by keep on doing it. And it's like a quote from Les Brown the other day, actually, which is, you know, anything that's worth doing is worth doing badly. And it's so true, you know, like get it all out the way, all of that. And I'm doing it in public so people can see it, but my audience isn't at any of the level that I want it at yet. So when it does come time when I've got that huge following and a huge audience, then they'll be like, wow, like this is amazing. They can go back and see what it was really like initially.
You have to start somewhere. And this is what I coach all of my students on as well. They say, oh, you know, this year I want to be able to do more Facebook Lives. I want to be more confident, but I'm not there yet, you know, and I want to develop my skills before I go out and do it. And I'm like, well, you know, if you wait until you think you're going to be perfect, when is that moment ever going to be? You have to start, just put yourself out there. And the more you put yourself out there, the more you're going to gain more confidence, the more you'll find that people will start to enjoy it, and you will just improve by doing. And if you never put yourself out there, you'll always have that excuse, that hesitation, and it will never happen.
What do you think on accountability when it comes to that? It's like putting yourself out there, because for me personally, unless I made this announcement, I'm doing this 1-year challenge, every day I put this sales video out. That's what gets me to do it. That it's not that I care so much what people think. It's like, that's my, like, if I don't do it, then I'm letting everyone down. I'm letting the community down. So is that something you try to put with your course, like with the accountability side as well?
I haven't, but it's a good point, and it's something that I should consider, that it would be a good idea to hold people accountable to push them to do it. Because I do find that is one thing that people are, you know, either finding excuses or they don't follow through. I try to push people into holding them accountable to present themselves, and too many people are still so shy away and don't present themselves into our private Facebook communities because of either fear of judgment, fear of you know, putting their skills in front of other people, and that is a very good point.
Yeah, I think like with all
courses, thanks.
Yeah, with all of this, it's about knocking down these false beliefs, isn't it? Like, you know, I can't sing, I can't present in front of people. My voice broke years ago, and it's never going to get to any sort of level. So I think, how would you come across to the people in that way where it kind of reassures them that it is possible, really? As Les Brown says, it's possible, you know?
I just say, get started and give it a try, and you'd be amazed at the possibilities and what you will discover from within once you start the journey. You'll never know if you don't try.
Yeah, I think, like, for me with this whole thing, like with the training I'm doing, my first part of it is literally called Finding Confidence. So what I learned from doing another training course was that to get someone to jump straight in to do something, it's not really going to happen. It might do from work I've done before, but realistically it's not. You've got to make them believe. So this course, I did a 30-day challenge, and the first week was literally just about believing that it was possible.
Yeah.
So from my course, that's literally what the first principle is like finding confidence, and that's repetition.
Well, we are going to release a new digital course this month, actually, which is designed for coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs. And through that course, we will show them how to package up their wisdom business. So how to package their knowledge up into a digital course, how to structure that course, how to host that course, which platform to use for the hosting, for instance, how then to market it to the world and not only to their network of friends and family, but really take that product globally and run a digital business. So we want to share the know-how, the knowledge we have learned in 2020 with other coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, and give them the same opportunity to suddenly scale their business to the globe.
Yeah.
So for instance, Mark, if I could show you a way how you could target your perfect and ideal customer. Yeah. So, and I assume in your case, that would be CEOs or sales managers.
HR as well. Yeah.
HR, right? So if I would show you a way that you could market continuously 24/7 to only those people, would that be fantastic?
That would interest me. Let's go through this now.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to get into this part now. So in regards to that, moving swiftly on, Lisa, absolutely amazing. And I think there's definitely more that I want to learn without a doubt. And I've been looking at your videos and I've been checking like with the one today actually with a bit of singing at the beginning, but was absolutely brilliant. So we'll make sure that everyone knows your tags and stuff. And we're going to come back to you shortly as well. But Ingo, in regards to the making people need to see you. They need to see, like, there's no point. You can have a great product, a great service, whatever, but if eyes are not on you and the right eyes, then you've not got a business. You've got a great little thing, but if no one can see it, it's no good. So what would you say to people in regards to that? Like, how can you help those people with that?
Well, there are obviously two ways to generate eyeballs for your business. Okay. One is the organic way. So that would be a way the route you're taking as well, by having a podcast, by putting yourself out on social media. But the organic way takes a lot of time. Yes, it's for free, but it is a continuous grind, and you will know this, that you have to put out content on a daily basis. Yeah. Sometimes multiple times a day, dependent on the platform you're using. If you're using Instagram, you should actually post between 3 to 5 times a day. Yeah. If you're having a YouTube channel, I guess you should post maybe twice a week to engage with your audience and grow your following on these platforms. And the problem with organic traffic is also, you would have to engage on multiple different platforms. You would probably use LinkedIn, you would probably use YouTube, you would use Facebook, you would use Instagram, potentially TikTok, other platforms. So it's very hard for you to...
It's time consuming.
Yeah, to manage it. Yeah.
To manage it.
Yeah.
They only has 24 hours, right? And so the alternative to generating eyeballs is paid traffic. Yeah. And that's the route we are using, where you simply say, okay, YouTube, you generate me a lead and I'll happily pay you for this particular lead anywhere between $1 to $3. Yeah. And if you then understand the advertising platform perfectly well, then you also understand that you really only show your ads to people as they are typing in a search phrase into YouTube. Let's assume they type in, how do I improve my speaking voice? Well, in this particular case, Lisa's ad would show up because somebody typed in this particular keyword. Or there's a way where you can target people who typed in something into Google. Maybe they typed into Google, how to improve my speaking voice. And then a couple of days later, they end up on YouTube. Maybe they want to watch a video of Les Brown, which has nothing to do with their search phrase. But because they typed it into Google a couple of days earlier, Lisa's ad would show up again. So there are different ways to manipulate it, but you're fairly certain that your ads indeed only show up in front of people who are generally interested in what you've got going on, or they want a solution to a problem.
So how does that work then? I mean, like, why would it come up with Lisa's video by searching that? I mean, what have you done to kind of get that phrase? Because this is what people struggle with. People do hashtags, people do keywords, like when they're doing their own postings, and they don't really understand what, like, the whole idea of that. So do you wanna give a bit of insight into that, please?
Yeah, sure. So there are different campaign types you can run on YouTube. And maybe first of all, a little bit of an explanation why we've decided to go with YouTube and not with Facebook, because Facebook is the largest advertising platform out there, but that's simultaneously also the reason why we've decided to go with YouTube instead of Facebook, because Facebook gets very cramped. And to get somebody's attention is relatively difficult. Most videos on Facebook are actually watched without sound. So, and you need to get somebody's attention as they are scrolling through their feed.
And it's much harder to specifically target on Facebook a specific need. You can do general interests, but you can't hone right into a specific keyword with Facebook advertising, which you can do
on YouTube.
On YouTube.
On YouTube, yeah. Okay.
Then,
and it will pop up on the video. If you're watching the Les Brown one, it will pop up with an ad of Lisa. Is that what you're saying? Or it could be before, in the middle of, yeah.
These are these super annoying ads where that always pop up in the stream. You want to watch something, and then you've got these 5 seconds before you can skip the ad away.
Hey, before you click me away.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. You done that one?
So that's the kind of advertising that we are using, these in-stream ads. And like I said before, there are different campaigns you can run. So one campaign would be where you target specific keywords. And whenever somebody types any of those keywords into YouTube, then your ad would show up. That's one possibility. Then there are so-called custom intent campaigns. This is where you could say, okay, if somebody typed in something in Google, not YouTube, but Google, and ends up eventually on YouTube to do something that is not related to his or her Google search, then the ad will show up.
It could even be that, they're searching for something like how to fix a leak in my shower, and you show up. Completely unrelated.
Because 5 days earlier, they typed into Google how to improve my speaking voice.
Yeah. But you need to be that whole phrase though. Like it needs to be that whole phrase, or it is like you can do how to and then how to improve.
You determine basically what you want to target. You can target only one word, or you can target an entire phrase.
Okay.
Then there's a possibility to target your direct competition. So wouldn't that be great if you could take customers away from your direct competition?
Tell me more.
Well, you can target people who visit particular websites. So I don't know, who is your main competitor in in the region.
We won't know. I don't want to name drop, but a very good established sales trainer here. Yes. Yeah. Who's very active, very active.
Okay. So, well, if you would be able to show your ads to those people who would visit his website, would that be great?
Definitely. Yeah.
So that is also one campaign type you can run on YouTube. You target people who went to his website.
I think with this, what I find a problem is managing it. So you mentioned that all different platforms, if you're doing it organically, you need to manage it because you're putting different posts out. But if you've got these leads coming in, it's a great problem to have, don't get me wrong, but what do you recommend to people in regards to managing those leads, like an automated system or a process? Or
so it depends obviously what you're doing. If you're wanting to sell a digital course,
okay,
then that's a whole automated system.
Yeah.
Basically you run a YouTube ad, you send these people to a funnel, a sales funnel. That could either be a webinar funnel or bridge funnel, depending on the price point of your digital course. Let's assume it's a webinar, then somebody will attend this webinar, and on the webinar, you sell them the digital course.
Okay.
You're not at all involved in this, other than having to record the YouTube ad, having to record your course material, and obviously hosting it. But you set this up once, and it sells automatically 24/7.
And the webinar is also automated. You can do live ones, but you wouldn't want to be doing them every second day live. So, or every day live, or 3 times a day live. So you can automate the webinars and just have them as if they are live, and people have that experience that it is live. People don't even realize that it might not be live, and they're typing in the chat box and giving you feedback and saying, this is amazing, I'm loving this is the best experience, and they think they're in a live experience, but they're not.
Yeah.
Because you're interacting with people all the time, asking questions or saying, hey, give me a 1 or give me a 2, and the chat box grows and grows.
And the second option obviously is for coaches and consultants who want to get a continuous stream of clients for their consulting or their coaching business. And I also use this for my logistics consultancy. So I run YouTube ads. There I generate leads. These leads go into a webinar. In this automated webinar, I have a chance of building rapport with these leads. And at the end of the webinar, I invite them to book a call with me. And so instead of selling an online course on this webinar, I only invite them to book a call with me. And this is also an automated process. They would end up on a page where they have access to my calendar. They book their time slot. But before that time slot is confirmed, I pre-qualify them by asking them to fill out a form, an online questionnaire that helps me to assess, is it worth my time going on to this call? Yes or no?
Yeah, which is very important.
So it's an automated, it's also there. It's an automated process of getting people into knocking on your digital front door, basically.
Which is what I'm starting to set up as well for my one-on-one coachings as well.
Yeah. So what I mentioned before was that, Lisa, you've helped Ingo in regards to when he's been doing webinars, and I think that's great. That's amazing. Like, in what way did you help him? Like, this isn't just about Ingo. This is about everyone, really. Like, what, or maybe not, or maybe did it all by himself. I don't know. But from what I understand, it's great that he has a wife that is a coach in regards to this, in presentation and vocal, and so why not use your expertise?
Well, she was actually the first one to record a webinar. And that got me into the entire idea and wanting to learn more about digital marketing, but it was actually her initial idea to sell her course through a webinar.
No,
Yeah,
I get that. I understand that, and completely clear. But you've been doing webinars, Ingo, yes?
Yeah.
And you've mentioned that this wasn't something that was natural to you, even maybe voice as well. Is that correct?
That part you mean. So webinar is actually okay, but it was more the recording of either course content or YouTube advertising.
Okay.
So initially being on camera felt a little bit awkward. And there obviously she was extremely helpful in.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Giving my constructive criticism or constructive advice to, without being too close on the relationship.
It's not easy. Not easy, definitely not. It's hard not to offend somebody, to put it across the right sort of way, to show it in a caring way, really. So, and I've seen the videos, so you obviously went on it together, so it's great.
Yeah.
But what
I can say, the first time I did webinars, it was daunting. The first time you do anything, it's a nerve-wracking experience, and you're putting yourself out there. It's an unknown territory. In fact, I can tell you a story. The very first time I went live on a webinar, the whole system crashed. I lost everyone. I had 350 people signed up for my webinar, my very first webinar, and I couldn't get anything to work. I lost everyone. What happened? I had no visual. My internet connection went down, and I was running. This is my problem. Never run a webinar on Safari. That was my experience. Never ever run a webinar through Safari. And I contacted Webinar Jam afterwards, and I said it didn't work. The whole thing crashed. I had no button at that point they normally have an emergency button where you could reboot. I didn't have that button available, and I just lost everyone. Had to write to them afterwards saying, oh, so sorry, we're going to reschedule. And that was my first ever webinar. There was nothing I could do but to say, sorry, we're out of here, and reschedule it. And obviously all of those 350 leads I got in, I lost a lot of them. A lot of them were understanding, but you do lose people. And that was an experience. And never do a webinar on Safari, move to Chrome.
Okay, amazing. But the thing is, you could go onto YouTube and you could have watched a video all about that. But until you actually experienced it yourself, until you actually learned that don't use Safari, use another one. And, amazing, you had 350 for your first webinar as well. So that's brilliant. But you only learn on the job, really. That's where it really comes down to. And that's like, right. We're both going to have these online training courses, but it's really about putting people in that position where they've got to perform and do it on the spot. And that's kind of, that's where we're really going to get this. And that's why we're on here now. We're both all going to get better at this and develop at this. And it's going to be an amazing journey we're on. But in regards to voice inflection, which I believe that's something which you teach, is that correct? Like tonality and
yes.
Because I think it's so important. Like, it's not what you say, but it's how you say it.
It's what I profess all the time.
Yeah. So one example I like to give, when I was at the Les Brown event, as we've said, and you had John Lee on stage and you had John Pemberthy on stage. Yes. Yeah. And you saw everyone was rushing to buy John Lee's stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
He created such a build-up, such an emotion on people. And that was because the way he was speaking, I mean, the offers that he was making as well was brilliant. But then John Pemberthy comes on, and I think these webinars, the course that he offers is, if not important, as important as what John Lee was trying to offer. And people just weren't rushing. And he just didn't have that sort of presence on stage that John Lee did.
I think John Lee was in the lucky situation that he was the first presenter.
Okay.
And John Pemberthy was unlucky. I think on that day, I believe he was the last presenter. People were getting tired.
Had already spent a lot of money.
exactly. Signed up for coaching with some of the earlier presenters. But I can tell you from experience that the John Pempathy stuff is actually a lot more worth than what John Lee had to sell on that particular day.
But that's
like
exactly what I mean. That's exactly what I mean.
The way John Lee presented it and created this urgency and scarcity that indeed drove people to the table.
And particularly, he was selling social media. Now, social media is hot at the moment. It's all about how many followers. I can guarantee you 10,000 followers in 7 days. Wow. That was a pretty enticing thing to draw you in on, a draw card that, everybody is longing to grow their channels, grow their Instagrams, grow their Facebooks at the moment. And I believe that was a big draw card.
Yeah, but for me, like just the way he put it across, and the reason why I touch on this is because you're teaching these people now to do stuff like this, and I know that John Pempathy's product is so valuable, and I've seen him recently on YouTube. He pops up every video I watch. I don't know if you've seen him. And he comes across so well. So for me, I don't know how much on-stage presentation he'd done before that. But I reckon that was kind of his failing his way in public to success. Like, I don't know how many times he's been on stage in front of that many people, but I bet because when he came back again, he ended up selling quite a lot because people were, but it's that second time round.
Yes, indeed. It's very true. Indeed. I will agree with you. John Lee does have an on-stage presence, and I can tell you they have all learnt how to present, use their voices and present their 90-minute signature talk. This is something they've all practiced, they've learned it. They've learned how to chunk their content. So when you're chunking your content, you've got your every small piece of information, you know exactly how to time each piece. So if you're going a little bit over time on one, you could shorten down the next piece. You could chop and change and interchange stories. You become a master at being able to just interchange and feel the moment when your audience is with you on that moment. I'm going to throw in this story because I can feel that they're with me, and I want to add this little bit of extra because it's just going to be fitting. And you become so experienced to be able to do that. The more you can present, the more you will be comfortable to be able to throw in and be more spontaneous on stage, to be, and this is what it has to be, you are connected with your audience. When you're on stage, you're not just presenting, but you are feeling your audience, you're connecting with your audience, you're feeling what they're giving back to you, you're sensing the whole time, what does my audience want from me? And I'm going to give it back to them. And you're always thinking of your audience first, not how am I feeling up here and am I doing a good job? If you're always thinking about it, I'm scared, I'm nervous, am I doing well? Are they, am I doing a good, all eyes on me? Then your focus is on the wrong place. If you're concerned about what you're giving to your audience, you're going to do a great job.
You feel off their vibe, and I think that's why a lot of people have struggled with this whole online experience now, because you used to be able to get a feeling off the crowd, didn't you? Whether that was good, whether you should push on with that or hold back or move on to something else. And when you're asking people to kind of interact on Zoom and stuff, it's not the same. It's not the same. So,
but at least on Zoom, it's much better than on other mediums. So let's assume you are hosting a webinar. And you're using Webinar Jam as the software. Then you do not see your audience.
No.
There's no visual. And the chat is super delayed. You have about a 8-second delay on Webinar Jam. So as you ask a question, you basically have to
fill the gap.
Before you see the first answers coming in. That's very uncomfortable. At least on Zoom, you see your audience for as long as they put their cameras on. And the chat is instant.
See, again, though, you don't know that till you start doing it. So that's another good insight there,
Yeah.
I still firmly believe you can keep your audiences engaged. It's a skill you also develop when you are presenting live, to keep your audiences with you. If you can notice there's a lull, if people are not responding, then you wake them up with something, you throw questions at them, you get them doing something, you give them a task to get them thinking about something. So you have to be very interactive with your audience through a screen, even more so maybe, or in a different way to if you're in a live setting.
Definitely. I think, but in regards to like the energy which you get off of people, sometimes if you're in front of a screen, you can kind of maybe feel yourself losing the energy because you're not vibing off of like the energy in the room, really.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's where you have to be very charismatic. I think it's acting.
Yeah.
It's being able to put it on, even if you're having a bad day, you still have to be able to put it on. And it's very similar to, well, you're doing a podcast. You could have been having a bad day, but you still have to come on because you're committed. You've made that decision, I'm going to do these. And it's the same as, let's say, radio presenters or TV presenters. They're not always going to be having their best days, but they still have to go out. They're committed. They have to present newsreaders. They still have to come on. Particularly, imagine a 7 a.m. radio presenter. They've got to get up. They've got to get their voice into gear. They've got to motivate people to get on the road and get to work. And they might be having the worst day of their life, but they still got to sound like they're excited and motivate people. And so it's a skill that you learn, or you can develop. I think everybody can develop it.
Yeah, I think it helps as well. What's that? Sorry.
Some people are more talented with it than others.
I think it helps as well, like with a mindset of you're doing this for others as well, because that's what kind of gets you up, gets you going. You know that if you can have this energy, someone's going to feel good. That's going to have a knock-on effect. This is how I see things anyway. Like if I even smile at somebody, or I say to somebody at the cash till, like, how's your day going? Most people don't really say that. So that has a thing like, oh, wow, somebody's taking an interest in me. They go home, the whole environment in the family changes, and all you've done is said, how are you? And it's just these little things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, is that, go on.
No, I was just going to comment, it's having a purpose. It's not just a passion, but having a purpose.
Yeah. And there's these voices that go in on our heads all the time, which is like, you can't do this, or don't worry about it, leave it till tomorrow. And that's why I'm so firm on accountability, because my training course I'm building at the moment, I've got the whole framework set, but now I need to start doing the filming. And I've put a 3-month roadmap in to do this thing. And I could say tomorrow, but otherwise I'm going to leave 100 videos like on the 31st of March to be done. And no, I need to do like 3 or 4 videos per day, and then see if people like it as well, put it out to people. So accountability and doing it for others as well. That's what kind of gets me motivated.
Yeah.
Hey, do you think, I like to finish off, first of all, guys, thank you very much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. And I'm pleased we're able to clear this up in regards to exactly what the fit is with you guys here. It's great to see people which have, like most of us, had a bad time since February, and we're like, wow, let's actually make something of this. Let's actually turn this, what we think is bad, into a great opportunity. And it's great that you're doing it together and pushing each other and working on it together. So that's really inspiring to see. So I wish you all the best with it. But I'd like to finish off with a question which hopefully puts you on the spot a little bit. Is there anything that I've not mentioned or not asked today that you think I should have asked to you?
Probably lots.
Probably lots. But you think that is going to be massively of value to the crowd, to the community, to the listeners?
You can go first.
I'm not entirely sure. No, I think we touched upon the things we wanted to talk about. Maybe we could have talked about virtual mastery, our new digital product, a little bit more in detail, but done.
Okay.
I would say that if you have an interest and you want to become an entrepreneur, and many people have this idea or dream, yes, I'd love to work for myself, I'd love to run my own business, but it's scary and it's daunting. Then where am I going with this? Anything is possible. You can start small. You can even start on the side as the side hustle while you're still working your own job and find out does it work. And so everybody has something within them that they could offer out to somebody else. So have a deep down search. What is it that you can do? What is it that you have that other people could learn from you? That's the first thing. And then, to work as an entrepreneur is a massive change in lifestyle. And you need to hold yourself accountable. You need to have structure. You need to have, what am I looking for?
Drive.
And drive, but you need to have certain rhythms in your day. You need to, schedules, and you need to follow certain, you were saying structures, and hold yourself accountable. I completely lost myself on that.
I asked the question at the end.
Well, there you go.
For me, I always thought I'd be a corporate person working in these big corporate companies, suit, tie, and that's the way that I was always going to be. And then things didn't work out for me with a company I was at in Dubai, and I decided to leave the company without having a job sorted. I was doing an ethical thing. I sat with my manager and I said, look, I'm not happy. As much as I want to put this company out there, I don't feel the company is doing it in the same way. So I want to part ways. And I thought, right, I'll get a job pretty easy, hot property. Things were just not happening. And I was so impatient. I was like, right, let me start my own company. And this was before Les Brown or Kane and Alessia. And I didn't have this structure. I didn't have this anything. And I've come from this corporate world with a backup people around me. So thinking I can do it all by myself, getting into all of this. And it's not about the how, it's about the who. And when people invest in courses like yours, or hopefully courses like mine, there's a way to do things, a blueprint that's been laid out before us, a structure, and we try and overcomplicate things so much. But if we can learn from people that have developed and put it in a way where we can learn it, and that's what we're trying to do, this structured course, then they can actually be successful with it. Because now what I've done is I've taken my experience of 15 years within the sales industry, and I'm now teaching people how to survive in the sales industry. So when people look to think of, well, I've got this logistics experience, like you, Ingo, what am I meant to do with this outside of logistics? Well, how about I teach people how to survive in logistics, or how to structure their business? From my experience, it doesn't mean I need to still be in it, but I can teach people how to survive in it. And that's a great way for people to understand, well, I can be an entrepreneur, but with the experience I already have.
Yeah, correct. And your story is very similar to mine. So I spent 25 years working for two of the largest multinational logistics companies in senior executive roles. And in 2018, I had enough. The company I was working for had a different approach to what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So similar situation to you, I then also resigned and established my own business. Yeah. But what I did not understand is the entrepreneurial mindset. Because what you learn quite fast, I would say, is that everything you've learned in the corporate world or almost everything you've learned in the corporate world does not matter as an entrepreneur. The number one thing that matters as an entrepreneur is probably the marketing aspect, getting your brand out there and getting customers through the front door.
Yeah.
And I wished I had known then what I know now about digital marketing and how easy it is to have customers walking through your digital front door.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good way to round it up. Lisa, is there any last finishing words you'd like to say?
No, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, all right, great. Well, look, I appreciate you both for being on the show. If you want to give a name on the different websites or your hashtags or your Instagrams, if you want to mention that now, you can do. But I'm also going to put it in the description as well anyway. But if you want to say what best things to follow to see you guys on a daily basis.
Okay. You can find me at lisa-hugo.com.
Okay.
And then you can, if you're interested, you can just reach out to me there and I can refer you to any of my courses or my coachings.
Perfect. Ingo, any last?
Well, we've got a number of digital courses obviously on offer, and I think the best is if you put it in the description box.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. Well, again, thank you very much. Hopefully this is a great start to the day for us, and we'll absolutely smash it going forward.
Cool.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much, guys. Take care and have a great day.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye. Thanks for listening and watching, guys. I hope there were some real gems that you get inspired by and take action with. Within the description, I tried to mention everything that's been spoken about, but on a daily basis, I put out content to inspire and help others. To see more, please like, subscribe and follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Spotify and Apple Podcast. Search by the name Mark Sclaire. Thank you very much again, and I hope you enjoy the journey.